The soft murmur of Asheville Regional Airport's terminal hummed around us as we stood near Gate C4, the crisp December air seeping through the high windows. My grandmother, Evelyn, held an empty ticket pouch, her hands trembling like fragile branches. "Eva," she whispered, voice fracturing. "He said there's no place for me." Her eyes, usually bright with quiet resolve, clouded with hurt. My father, Robert, turned away, his stance a cold rejection, as if the $20,000 she'd provided was a phantom he could dismiss. That Christmas they boarded a flight to Italy, chatting with my mother, Susan, and Uncle Mark, leaving us behind. I stayed with Evelyn, a choice I've never doubted. 3 weeks later, when they emerged from arrivals, glowing from Venice, they froze. Me beside a man in a charcoal suit, his portfolio a herald of change. This is a narrative of treachery, of a woman hollowed out, and of my resolve to say, this ends now. My upbringing in Hendersonville, North Carolina, felt like a stage tableau within my family. Dad, a property developer obsessed with prestige, and Mom, engrossed in charity galas and quinoa recipes, turned dinners into rehearsed spectacles. Measured words, pointed remarks, vacant silences. Amid that, Evelyn radiated like a warm ember. Dad's mother, a retired historian in a quaint cottage, welcomed me each holiday while my parents slipped off on private getaways. We shaped cornbread, tended her azaleas, and drifted off to her soft Nat King Cole tunes. She was gentle yet unyielding. When I cried over a skipped dance recital, she handed me a journal. When my parents scolded AB in literature, she said, "Grades track progress, not spirit." Her mantle displayed my early scribbles, every letter I wrote treasured. As a nurse in Asheville, I kept visiting, pulled by her boundless love, unlike my parents' calculated care. I sensed their discomfort, Dad's brow furrowing at her pride in me, Mom's lips pursing when I chose Evelyn's Christmas over Hilton Head, but I held on to hope they wouldn't harm her. I was mistaken. That Christmas they arrived at Evelyn's with bags and practiced smiles, pitching a family trip to Italy. I wanted to trust them, to glimpse unity, but unease lingered. Affection in our family always came with a ledger. The evening flowed with spiced cider, pecan stuffed turkey, and Dad's broker laugh. "I'm picturing an Italian escape. Florence, Venice, Rome, for everyone," he said, slicing the roast. Evelyn hesitated. "That sounds lovely, but my knees." Dad smiled. "We'll go gentle, wheelchairs, ramps, gourmet meals." Uncle Mark added, "Mom, you've never been abroad." Even my cousins Lily and Owen nodded, lost in their devices. I watched Evelyn sip her cider, cautious. Then Dad tossed in, casual as a breeze, "We need a bit extra for tickets, $20,000. Thought you could help since you've dreamed of this." Silence fell like a dropped platter. Evelyn's thin smile broke it. "If it binds us." I stifled anger, her hope silencing me. She called the bank next day. I overheard her recite account numbers, fists clenched by the sink. "Grandma, are you sure?" I asked. She patted my hand. "They're including me. It's worth it." Dad's hasty goodbye hug left a chill. I knew this was no favor but a transaction, and she was the coin. The flight morning, Evelyn woke early, dressed in a plum jacket with brass buttons, her faded brogues dubbed wander shoes though unused for years. Her suitcase, small and weathered, spoke of modesty. "Packed light," she said, glowing, "to keep up." I hid my dread with a grin. At the airport, Dad directed like a field marshal. Passports, orders, while Uncle Mark adjusted luggage overlooking Evelyn. We followed her bag to check in, her wide-eyed awe at the terminal's arches a child's marvel. "Never seen this grand," she whispered, gripping my arm. At the desk, Dad's voice turned, brittle low. "Not on the list. Booking error," he muttered to the agent. I stepped nearer. "What's happening?" He masked it. "Evelyn's ticket didn't register. We'll fix it." Her smile faded. "Robert, I paid." He sidestepped her gaze. "A glitch. Better you stay, we'll send postcards." Uncle Mark nodded. "Long trips aren't your thing." Evelyn's hold on her bag tightened. "But I funded this." Dad's forced grin sliced deeper. "You made it happen. Rest home." He headed to the gate, no hug, no remorse, just erasure. Families around us laughed and posed for shots. We stood still, Evelyn, me, her tiny case. "There's no place for me," she repeated, voice breaking. I took her hand. "Then I'm staying too." she protested. Eva, your trip. Not without you, I insisted. They boarded, we stepped into the chilly mist. The drive home was hushed, Evelyn staring out, hands folded, no tears, no fury, just resignation. At her cottage, she unpacked methodically, blouses, lavender balm, and an unused passport, while I brewed chamomile tea. She held a sepia photo of her with Uncle Mark at a creek, her smile vivid. I thought they'd want me this time, she said softly. I swallowed rage, voiceless. That night, alone at her table, I searched elder financial abuse, North Carolina, finding the Senior Rights Coalition. Next morning, pruning azaleas, Evelyn accepted my tea with a weary smile. You don't have to mask it, I said. I'm not, she replied. But doing nothing cuts deeper. She nodded and I called Tessa Lang, a coalition lawyer. Her firm voice grounded me. Tell me everything, she said. I did, and for the first time helplessness ebbed. Tessa arrived next day, gray coat and slacks, warm yet firm. Mrs. Harper, this could be illegal, she told Evelyn, who shrank. I don't want strife, they're my blood. I cut in, Grandma, they misled you. That's theft. Tessa nodded. With your consent, we'll recover your funds and shield you. She wavered, then said, if Eva believes this, I trust her. We gathered evidence. Bank slips, Agent Carla's note about Dad's curt dismissal, and planned. What would their return ignite, and how would justice take shape? That question beat, a steady rhythm urging us forward. The creak of Evelyn's cottage door in Hendersonville, North Carolina, echoed as I eased it shut, my footsteps muffled by a worn rug after leaving the airport. The legal papers from Tessa Lang lay on her oak table, a stark marker of the Christmas fallout, Dad's icy dismissal at Gate C4 and the rift that followed. My heart still thudded from that moment, the sting of their betrayal sharper than the December chill outside. The quiet after cutting them off was a jagged current, carving through years of buried resentment. Uncle Mark's texts, you can't do this, and Mom's think of the family, buzzed relentlessly, a storm I muted. What would their return unleash, and how would I guard Evelyn from their backlash? That question churned, a restless wave propelling me onward. The days after the airport were a blur of resolve and repair. I settled onto a faded armchair, the crackle of a wood stove my only solace, my mind racing as I adjusted to the weight of our choice. Sarah, a nurse colleague from Asheville, brought casseroles, creamy grits, collard greens, her steady presence a balm. Her Aunt June sent a quilt with a note, you're forging your own shore. I braced for guilt, but it eluded me. Instead, I opened a ledger, debts owed, tallying the $20,000 Evelyn had given, mortgage support, Mom's spa trips, Dad's investments. Each entry was a wound, a ledger of their greed, hardening my stance. I fortified our defenses. I called the bank, requesting a lock on Evelyn's accounts, citing exploitation with Tessa's counsel. The manager, a kind man named Tom, confirmed odd withdrawals, luxury cruises, car leases, matching their deceit. I saved the call log, a bulwark against their spin. I updated Evelyn's will, naming Sarah as trustee, and set up a safeguarded trust with Tessa's help, sealing our assets. My phone erupted. Dad's, this is spiteful. Mom's, we need help. Uncle Mark's, you're ruining us. I silenced the barrage, letting messages pile like evidence. 4 days later, Dad called 7 times. I answered on the 8th. Eva, what's this madness? He snapped. I kept my voice flat. Where did her money go? He stumbled. Bills, Mom's treatments, his business. I pressed. Treatments don't cost $10,000 monthly. That lease was a Bentley. He barked. Don't slander us. I said, you bled her dry while I watched. That's your shame. Mom took the phone. Just assist this month. Not my load, I replied, ending the call. No regret. The next 72 hours were a taut stillness, a calm before their surge. Uncle Mark texted, they're at my place. Happy. I fired back, they chose this. He retorted, your spite broke Mom. I countered, she broke herself with lies. He went silent. Dad emailed a lengthy excuse, remorse, a budget draft, shifting blame. I didn't reply, adding his figures to my ledger, braced for their twist. Mom texted, we're selling the house. The finality bit, a crack in their facade. I reshaped my world. I worked night shifts, studying elder care certifications, saving for a van. The cottage gained a hand-woven mat, a fern, each a thread of independence. Every Sunday I brewed sweet tea, its tang a quiet defiance. Whispers reached me. A coworker noted Dad's office tension. A neighbor mentioned Mom's charity rants. They claimed I'd left for a promotion. I let the lie erode. A month later, Ryan, an Asheville social worker, noticed my focus. Elder care path? He asked. I nodded. He shared resources and we reviewed cases late, his alliance a contrast to home. One evening, a knock startled me. Uncle Mark, weary. Can we talk? I let him in. I didn't know it'd spiral this far. Dad's unraveling, Mom's fragile, he said. I saw your ledger hint. Sorry. His tone wavered. They're livid, but I see it now. What next? I asked. Community college, maybe advocacy, he said. We sat, a fragile pact forming. What would this alliance hold and how would I navigate it? That question rippled, a tide to ride. The amber glow of a Hendersonville sunset spilled through Evelyn's cottage window, painting the room in soft hues as I sipped hibiscus tea, the faint scent of honeysuckle drifting from a jar on the sill, mingling with the earthy aroma of a cedar candle flickering nearby. The legal documents from Tessa Lang rested on a pine shelf beside a clay mug I'd crafted as a child, its uneven glaze a quiet testament to the Christmas confrontation and my break from Dad and Mom's grip. Their unraveling lingered like a distant haze, tempered by Uncle Mark's tentative amends and Sarah's unwavering support, which had sown seeds of renewal. The region's gentle pulse, the rustle of oak leaves swaying in the breeze, the distant murmur of the French Broad River weaving through the valley, wrapped around me like a warm quilt stitched with care. I'd transformed their exploitation into a foundation for something enduring, a legacy forged from my resilience amid the rolling Blue Ridge foothills. The table, now strewn with elder care notes, a flourishing fern with delicate fronds, and a sketchbook filled with Evelyn's old recipes, held the blueprint of a future I'd craft with my own hands. What I'd built from this liberation had been my guide, and now it flourished into a community I could uplift, its roots deepening with each passing season. In the months after Uncle Mark's visit, the cottage evolved into a haven of self. Sarah visited weekly with warm cornbread and tales from the hospital, June sending knitted scarves with notes like, "You're charting new waters with every stitch." Uncle Mark texted about community college strides and a part-time role at a library, his change a fragile yet promising bud. Dad and Mom faded into silence, their last plea, "Help us now," a faint echo swallowed by the wind. I didn't dwell in that shadow, I acted with purpose. With savings from my nursing job and a $15,000 inheritance from a great-aunt, her note scrawled with, "For your courage" in shaky ink, I launched the Harper Resilience Project, a program aiding seniors escaping familial financial abuse with budgeting skills, job training, and small grants. My tribute to the strength I'd reclaimed from years of silence. The project's name, etched on a wooden plaque above the cottage door, became a symbol of my resolve. The project took root with steady organic growth. I partnered with a senior center in Asheville, pitching a pilot to empower the overlooked with tools for independence. Funds trickled in. A $20,000 grant from a local foundation moved by my testimony, $7,000 from a hospital donor inspired by my journey, $1,500 from Sarah's church drive featuring homemade pies, and an unexpected $300 from a farmer's market booth where I shared Evelyn's story. I enlisted Uncle Mark for record-keeping, his precision a surprising asset honed by late-night study sessions, and Tara, a career counselor whose warm insight shaped the vision into a sanctuary of hope. We secured a space in downtown Asheville, a restored barn with high beams casting golden light, wide windows framing the Smoky Mountains, and a small garden where volunteers planted marigolds, opening after 8 months of tireless planning. The Harper Hub debuted on a crisp May morning, the air sweet with blooming dogwood and the earthy scent of freshly turned soil. I stood with Uncle Mark and Tara, scissors in hand, as seniors, advocates, neighbors, and even a local news crew gathered under a canopy fluttering in the gentle wind. "This is for the unseen, the unheard," I said, voice firm yet tender. Tara cut the ribbon, applause rising like a spring breeze carrying the promise of renewal, the space alive with possibility and the soft hum of shared dreams. Inside, the hub thrived with purpose. A workshop room hummed with Tara's budgeting classes, participants scribbling notes with focused determination. A lounge hosted support circles where stories wove a tapestry of resilience. And a small office managed grants with the quiet efficiency of a well-tended hearth. I walked the space, the energy of renewal soothing old wounds like a balm, and sat at my desk, writing in a journal bound in leather. They saw me as a crutch, not a granddaughter, but I've turned their neglect into this. This hub proves my value beyond their ledger. A hand-painted sign by the door, crafted by a local artist with strokes of blue and green, read, "Strength in renewal, hope in action." A nod to my journey and the community's rising spirit. That night, I lingered as the crowd thinned, the lounge settling into a soft hush broken only by the rustle of leaves outside. A blank ledger on a table symbolizing fresh starts and the promise of tomorrow. The months that followed solidified my path with unwavering resolve. The hub hosted job fairs drawing seniors from Black Mountain and Weaverville, their resumes clutched like lifelines against the uncertainty of age. Support groups filling the lounge with the clink of teacups and shared determination, its name spreading through community networks, church bulletins, and a radio spot hosted by a local DJ. I hired Sam, a 26-year-old advocate with a fire in his eyes, his passion echoing my own fight against injustice. Project funds supported the June grant, named for Sarah's aunt, aiding Mia, a retiree retraining in gardening. Her first harvest of sun-ripened tomatoes, a deep reward that warmed my heart like a summer day. June visited often, bringing Dad once on a quiet afternoon. "You've built something remarkable," he muttered, his voice rough with an emotion I couldn't name. We sat by the window, recalling old fishing trips along the Green River, the water glinting under a summer sun, a fragile warmth emerging like a thaw after a long winter. Uncle Mark thrived, earning credits and teasing, "I'm the numbers guy now," with a grin over a plate of barbecue. We started Kinship Thursdays, barbecue with tangy sauce, hikes along the Blue Ridge trails where we paused to watch hawks soar, forging a new bond stitched with laughter and shared silence. Mom remained a silent shadow, but June urged, "Keep growing, let your roots spread wide." 6 months later, I stood on the porch, the North Carolina dusk painting the sky in peach and violet, the silhouette of the Blue Ridge Mountains a steady guardian against the fading light. The hub's progress, a $50,000 grant from a women's coalition, plans for an outreach van painted with vibrant murals, and a new reading nook stocked with Evelyn's favorite histories, filled me with pride that glowed like the setting sun. The cottage, once a refuge from their neglect, now felt like a launch pad, its walls adorned with Mia's thank you note written in looping script, a map of our region marked with the hub's location, and a framed sketch of Evelyn tending her azaleas. I traced the horizon with my gaze, the town's lights twinkling like fireflies dancing in the dusk, and smiled with a contentment that settled deep in my bones. I'd shaped a life with purpose, turning pain into a platform where others could rise. The void left by Dad and Mom birthed this. Uncle Mark's growth, June's tender care, the hub's vibrant heartbeat pulsing with every step forward. I was whole, at peace, my legacy anchored in a community I'd nurtured, its branches reaching toward a dawn where no one would be overlooked again, their stories lifted like the morning mist over the mountains. Hey everyone! Thanks for tuning into the Revenge Tempest channel. If you love this story, please hit that subscribe button and join our amazing community. Drop a comment below letting us know where you watched us from. Your support keeps us going. Stay tuned for more epic tales,